All right, folks, welcome to the end of the year, December 31st, 2021. So we're going to talk about stocks in just a minute. We got about 8 minutes until we get started, so sit back and just enjoy the video, and we'll be back at you in 8 minutes. And if you're watching the recording, feel free to fast forward. Okay, welcome to this week's stock analysis. We're going to get started in about 5 minutes. If you're watching the recording, feel free to fast forward. right, get started about 2 minutes. 2 minutes. All right, folks, we'll get started in just about a minute or so. All right, we're going to get started here momentarily. All right, well, welcome to this week's Stock Analysis Friday. Welcome, everybody. My name is Bennett McDowell with TradersCoach.com. Good to have you here. All right, so today we're going to take a look at a variety of stocks that you want to look at. We are going to take a look at gold. I'm going to do that one in silver, and I'm also going to do some of the cryptos because we want to see what's cooking with those guys. All right, before we do, just a few administrational things, and also I want to wish everybody a very, very happy new year. And I love this because I can always say at the end of the presentation, I'll see you next year. All right, so let's go ahead and just go through a few administrational items that I need to cover here. First thing we want to do is make sure that you share, okay, our particular channel with other folks. The more people we can get here, the better it's going to be for all of us because we can share stocks and find those needles in the haystack. So definitely get as many people here, like, subscribe, and share. Also, too, we want to be able to make sure you understand the risks involved in trading. Before you act on any of the things we look at today, check with your financial advisor, accountant, or attorney, whoever manages your money, just to make sure what we talk about, what we suggest here are suitable for you. Because we don't know your personal situation, they do, so it's always a good idea to check that out. And there are risks involved in trading, and you have to be able to understand timing and entries and exits. Risk control is very important, and also trade with money you can afford to risk, called risk capital. All right, I have a variety of books on Amazon, so if you're new here, welcome, all right, and get to know us. And this is a great place to do it. Go to Amazon. I have a book on money management. You know, money management is kind of like wearing a seatbelt in a car. You don't want to trade without that money management in place, just like you wouldn't want to drive a car without your seatbelt on. So money management is the first book I recommend for everybody, especially if you're a new trader. And then I have a variety of other books on different forms of technical analysis. But start with money management. We're going to be looking at charts using a software system I created over the last 36 years called the Applied Reality Trading System. I've been trading the markets quite a while now, and this system here is a really robust, real-time trading system. I've got charting indicators, I've got scanners, and of course risk control software. So check that out on our website, and I want to thank everybody for being here today. And if you are watching the recording, welcome as well. All right, so now Jean has just typed in there. Jean's my assistant, happens to be my wife as well. And she just typed in there, please use all caps when typing in a symbol. So if you want me to look at a stock symbol, glad to do it, but just do it with caps because it makes it, of course, easier for us to see. All right, so let's get out of the slideshow here. And I'm going to start out here and take a look at a couple of variety of different markets here. I'm going to start out, I think, with the probably the overall cryptos at first. So let's go ahead and take a look at those. And then I'm going to take a look at some of the other markets as well. So a variety of different ways to looking at cryptos. I'm going to start out with the, of course, the actual easiest one that most people that are new kind of start out with, and those are the ETFs. So let's open up the crypto weekly chart here, which is this one I have right here. And let's just walk through it here. Now, for many of you who have been in crypto, we were in crypto, but we got out, okay? So now, what do? Do we go back in? Do we kind of hang out and wait? Well, let's take a look and see what the technicals are telling us here. So if you're into Elliott wave, this was a major move up, all right, probably a 3 at this time, and this was a 4, and here we go up possibly to a 5, all right? So we came very close to the target range to hit that 5 area. Interesting. We have bearish divergence. But this is an indicator that I created that is phenomenal. It's called the PTF. And it has about a 75% accuracy rate. And when it's green, what you do, it's very easy to use, just find the highest high in that green price bar. And that happens to be wave 3. There's a 75% probability, according to just this indicator, that we're going to return and go higher than that. So the chances of getting into wave 5 are high. So even though we've had a move down, there's been a lot of negative news on the cryptos lately. But according to this chart and this technicals, it's going to make another high. Now, if you're trading off the weekly chart, we would suggest your stop being put right under this triangle here, which is called the R pyramid, which identifies a key level of support, in this case, for a stop. All right, so you want to have your stop right under there. So you'd still be in this if you were trading from a long-term perspective. Let's take a look at the shorter-term perspective to get an idea, okay, if you should go in now. All right, so let's take a look here. So, a little bit different picture here. I'm going to move the more history up here so you can take a look at it here. But if you notice here on this chart that we have a situation here where you can see the pullback. This is our stop, major stop is in here for our weekly chart. But you know, we have still bearishness, okay? We have 2 bearish pyramids right here, and the momentum is bearish. So I would not buy this at this time, not with this chart being bearish. So the long-term chart is bullish. The shorter-term intermediate chart, which is the daily chart, which is what we're looking at now, is still a little bearish. So the timing isn't quite right. Do we want to be long eventually, unless things change on that weekly chart? But for right now, we don't want to be. All right, so we got away. We have an active pyramid on the 60-minute chart over here, green PTF. So we got to see some more bullishness coming back into this market before going long. Now, for those of you new, notice I have 3 charts up here. I have a weekly over here. This is the longer-term aspect of the market we're looking at. I have the daily chart here, which is the intermediate aspect, and then I have the 60-minute chart on the far left, which is kind of a more of a short-term chart I use for momentum. So between these 3 charts, it allows me to time my entry and take a look at the various time frames on one particular market. This device up here with all the cool colors, this is our scanner. Okay, so that is something else that we have running at the same time. All right, so that is GBTC. Now, I'm going to get to yours in just a minute. I do want to take a look at silver and gold. So let's take a look at silver first. This is another one that we are kind of always asked about a lot here. So let's take a look at that. Give that a second to load. So silver, if you listen to anybody out there, is kind of very much promoting silver at this time. And while we think it's probably, of course, going to go back up as well, let's just see what the timing was. Because the timing was not always quite there on silver before. And as you can see, it came down when everybody was buying at around the 26, 27 level. So aren't we glad we didn't do that? Let's take a look at the long-term aspect on silver here. All right, so we drew a retracement area, and prices came down to that. We still have bearish divergence on this, but, you know, we could see now a move to the upside. So let's take a look at our shorter-term charts and see how that's doing. All right, now, I'm going to open up the daily chart, and we seem like we may have a bottom here, because notice that the market moved swiftly up, and then what we want to do is really watch that retracement. And that retracement came way, way down here, but did not go below the bottom and then bounced off it. That's a good sign, all right? Good sign. Also, too, this bearish pyramid here, prices went above it, so that is no longer valid in terms of bearishness. The only thing we have bearish here is we have a little bit of a bearish momentum, all right? So, getting close to an entry. Let's look at this next week for sure. But for right now, things are a little bit bullish on this up move too on the 60-minute. So I'd say possibly close to an entry on silver. Possibly close to an entry. Okay? So let's keep an eye on that, and then let's take a look at one more, gold, because usually people ask me about these particular three items, cryptos, silver, and gold. Now, gold is one that's kind of interesting. This is a weekly chart. So as you can see, I'm going all the way back to 2005. This was an Elliott wave 3, if you're into Elliott waves. That's a form of technical analysis. Followed by a wave 4. Now, there are 5 trends in an Elliott wave. And then the trend ends after the 5th. So here we are. All right, so it moved back to the upside, again up here. And so we're kind of looking at it for possibly one more high, simply because we have a green PTF. All right, so there's the PTF that's green. So there's a 75% probability we're going higher than this high here. Now that high already reached into the target zone. And this is where an indicator like the PTF is really cool, because most people would say, okay, we hit the target zone, it's probably done. But the PTF is saying here, it's not done. One more time. So we got a bullish pyramid here. Can you see that on the long-term chart? So this is fairly bullish. The only thing that's slightly against this is the momentum right now. So it's kind of going sideways with bearish momentum as indicated by this indicator here called the owl, which is another one of our indicators. So that's kind of a little bearish. Okay, so, all right, so let's see what the short-term charts say. Not good, okay? Notice the mess that we've been in for quite some time since the summer. So this is red. You don't want to go long with that red, because that's saying we have a high probability we're going below this low here before we start to make a significant move up based off the longer term chart. So this is a bottom, all right, so this red PTF is not saying it's going to go below the bottom, but it is saying it's going to go below this price bar, because that's the lowest one in that red area. So I don't want to enter yet. This is where looking at 3 time frames really helps with the timing. So we kind of want to hold off on that. And momentum seems to be going up, so if that PTF that's red on the daily changes, okay, great. But for right now, no go. All right, so that's crypto I looked at silver, and I looked at gold. Let's see what you guys now want to look at. All right, first one up here, I'm just going to take them as they came across the wire here. All right, Ray, how are you? Happy New Year to you. All right, ABBF. ABB, not F, V. And F, so you want to look at Ford in addition to this. Got it. All right, so let's take a look at this bad boy here. All right, well, certainly bullish across all 3 time frames. No question about it. All right, so are you in it now? Are you setting your stop? What are you going to do with this? If I was trading from a standpoint of a long-term trade, in other words, I'm in this not for just a month or a week, but maybe 6 months to a year, I'd probably have my stop way down here. Okay? It's pretty far away. But you have to give the market enough room, and with a green PTF, there's a pretty good chance, even if it corrects, it's going back up. So you want to stay with the trend, right? Next time, if it makes another high and this is yellow, then we'll be more aggressive about moving the stop up. If, on the other hand, you're trading a daily chart, which is this one right here, your pyramid is here, so you want your stop right around that level there, between 125 and 130. Okay? So really important that you know your intentions. Is it long-term, or are we in this more of a short-term play? And of course, if you want to really go short-term, you can look at that 60-minute chart. I mean, what a beautiful trade that would have been. Check out the pyramid trading entry here, way back in the beginning of December. So from December 1st to the end of the month, you could have gone just trading off the 60-minute chart from about 119 or 120 all the way up to 135. All right, not too shabby, okay? And your stop would be, you would be stopped out pretty much at this particular point with bearish divergence. So not a bad trade. If you're in it long term, put your stop in one of those appropriate time frames, but still a bullish market. All right, F. Let's take a look at F, which is Ford. All right, let's see how those new electric cars are doing, right? All right, so let's see what's cooking down here. All right, so technically speaking, we came down here, hit this little fib retracement, bounced off. So this is still a wave 3, all right? So you're still in a major wave 3. Of course, after wave 3 comes the correction of wave 4. So we have to take that into account, but it's not here yet. And look how powerful the momentum is here, all right? This is a very, very high owl at 4.7. So it's not close to the zero line, and you have a green PTF. So you want to stay bullish on this particular market. On the daily chart, if you're trading off that, here's that fib retracement level there. You're in a wave 3 at this point. Probably at this point with bearish divergence, you're going to get stopped out if you haven't been stopped out already. So I think this is on the verge of going into a correction. I'm not saying the trend is over, but I do think we're in the verge of getting a correction. And we probably, it's getting a little messy on the 60-minute time frame. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think if you've made a lot of money on this, again, check with your financial advisor. I don't know if it's a long-term position or a short-term trade, but I would start to inch that stop up, because if this corrects, we could see, this going back into the middle teens, perhaps. All right. So you might want to protect your profits on that. So that's Ford. All right, Frank, how are you? WDC. Happy New Year to you as well. And great to have everybody here. All right, so now as we go through stocks, if we find one here, grab your pen and pencil, because you're going to want to write that down as a potential that you could trade. So I not only use this as a great opportunity to go over stocks, but as a group, we could find that needle in the haystack. So always be ready to write things down if we come across a good one. All right, so WDC, let's take a look at this and see. All right, so we've got a meandering chart even on the weekly time frame. So we've had a range all the way around 30 or a little under, all the way up to 80. Okay, quite a good range. So you could trade. These are tradable waves, but not on this time frame. Probably better off doing it on the daily time frame, even though the pyramids would have gotten a nice little profit out of this move. So what do you do now with this? Okay, so let's take a look at this. Fairly messy. I want to see a little bit more history on this bad boy. So we've kind of gone up here, big retracement down. That's not a normal wave 4 retracement. So that's a pretty decisive move. So we're hovering around these bottoms here and kind of getting down here, bouncing off, getting down here. So we may be on some form of move up, but we have bearish divergence right now. So it's coming off a move down that we've been in for quite a bit of this year. Let's go and take a look and see if the daily chart helps us at all. All right, there it is, highlighting the down move. All right, now we've got this up move. We have bullishness coming into the market. You can see it in the owl. You can see it in the PTF. It's not one of my favorite charts, okay? We don't have a bullish pyramid. If I was long on this chart, I would have been stopped out long ago before this correction. Getting in at this time, all right, you could have gone in. Make sure you have your stop. I would say below here, if we think this is going to go up for one more high, which it probably certainly seems to be doing so. The reason it's not my favorite at this particular point is because prices have gotten so far away from our original entry. So put your stop here, all right, at this low here in the last pullback. And if this is a true movement up, we've already had higher highs and higher lows. You can see that here. So we've already got a trend in place. So a stop here will protect you and yet at the same time keep you in the trend. So it's looking pretty good and it's positive. You can see on the 60. All right, so not a bad trade. So maybe one for us to write down in terms of a possibility. If you want to use an option on this, You could certainly do so whenever prices get far enough away that it makes a regular position not as good as an option position. You might want to consider an option. Now, the only thing you have going against you here is a red owl on the weekly chart. So if you wanted to be a little more cautious and wait for that to turn green, you could. But if you wanted to take the trade based solely off the daily chart, you're good to go. All right, so that's kind of where we are with that. So that is WDC. Not one of my favorites, because I kind of like the weekly chart to be a little more clear, but not too bad. All right, so that is, and you're long at 58.2, so you're in pretty good shape. I would stay long, Frank. Okay, you've got bullish PTFs on both the daily and the 60 minutes. So for right now, come back next week and we'll take another look at it. I think you should be pretty good for a week. All right, I'm looking at the chats here. Gene's in there saying hello to everybody. Okay, Michael Katz. Hello, Michael Katz, and Happy New Year to you. All right, and FTNT. And let's see, Ray, it's looking go add on pullback. Yep, okay, that was that one we looked at before. All right, FTNT. Let's take a look at this. Let's first take a look at the weekly chart. Don't you love it when they look like that? I mean, oh my gosh. Now, is there any question that that is a wave 3? And the answer is no. Okay, that's one thing. Once you know and can find a wave 3, all right, then you know where you are in the overall Elliott wave count. And this is clarity. So this is kind of what I like to see. So big move up, all right, stop here if you're trading this long term. You've got a huge owl, but it is coming down. And you no longer have a green, you have a yellow or neutral PTF, so that's not telling us anything. So in this case, what do you got going for us? Okay, well, you got a green pyramid and you also have a bullish owl. So prices, the trend is still up, you're above pretty much all the trend lines at this point. Now, in terms of getting in now, okay, you're a little late if you want to get in now. You've had too many pyramids in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4. So our rules on using pyramids, once you have 4 consecutives, probably not the highest probability trade after that point. So looking good. If you're long, you should be smiling like crazy. You may have tripled your money on this. You would have doubled it for sure using the system here of the ART system. But for right now, what do you do? So again, even the daily chart, all right, this is an extended trend. I'm not one for getting in late on trends, but you have bearish divergence building here, so I would probably not get in at this point. But if I was in, I'd be looking for places to put your stops. So I'd ratchet the stops up a little bit. So extended, don't go in yet. Wait for a major pullback, or if you're already in, then put your stops in a place to protect your position. All right, thank you. All right, Ray, let's say AFRM. I'll give that a second to load. Let me just pull these indicators down here a little at the bottom here so we can see the chart. Sometimes the volatility when you look at the new markets like this. All right, so check this out. Not a lot of history here, right? Okay, so we only go back a little bit here. So we have a green PTF. So the PTF has picked that up pretty quickly. So it looks like we're going to have more highs on this. Question is, when do we pull the trigger? Look at this. Not yet. This is still bearish. All right, and this is bearish. And this is starting to bottom, so maybe we're going to get a pull-up off this. But in terms of the timing, Ray, I think I would wait until that daily chart is more bullish than it is now. All right, so hold off a little bit. I think the idea of going long here is good because based off this chart here, this is green, target's way up around 175 or 180, and we're at 103, so that's a decent profit probability. Just wait for the daily chart to turn more bullish, and that will probably ensure that we have some type of bottom in recently, okay? So that's kind of how I would look at that. All right, let me just, I'm trying to find the messages here. Okay, Michael Katz, okay, took care of you. All right, mRNA. Let's take a look at that bad boy. Okay, so very quickly, again, very similar to the other one we looked at in that the weekly chart has a bullish PTF. So prices are probably going to return and go higher than the most recent high, which was up here. and that's the high that was located in the PTF. So you're talking about, this is a very expensive stock, so you're going to probably want to do options on this. You're talking getting above 500 bucks, okay? Now, this is a problem for entering now, and this moved down. So I'm not convinced the downtrend is over. So I would not go into this yet. And we have a bearish owl here. Statistically, we have to have, not have to, but we usually have 4 bearish histogram bars as a minimum. All right? So I think this is still unwinding. Will it be good later? Yeah, probably. But an entry now may not be the best thing to do. I think you can get in a better price. And if you look at this thing, I mean, down here is where it's saying it's going to go lower. So it's at 256 now. So I'm thinking you could probably get in around at least below 216 based on that one indicator. Okay? All right. So let's see what else we got cooking here. All right. I think anything else? We got a holiday session here kind of coming up. So let's see. I'm looking. WDC, we did that one right. All right, I think we're good. Anybody have anyone else? You know, we're here. We can stay another couple minutes here. Going once, going twice. All right, now a couple things I want to talk about on the market itself. So the Dow, all right, has had a really good year. It actually surprised me. I kind of figured we'd be more in a correction at this time, but markets do that. They surprise us all. So always follow the price. Now we've got some key levels of support we're watching that have not been broken yet. So if you're subscribing to our market service called the More, you know where that is, right? All right, so keep an eye on that. Now, January, you know, we've had our Christmas rally. We anticipated that. The Elliott wave is putting a top on this market of around 37,025. So we're right up there. We're in the target range. So we kind of have to be careful here. Now, January is an interesting month in the market. Statistically, not always, but statistically, when you have a really good January, that usually leads the way for the rest of the year. Not always, but usually. So let's keep an eye on January and see how that does in the markets. Now, if it breaks down and starts to go below those support levels, all right, then you want to probably take some action and protect yourself against a market decline. And so, you know, if we get to that point, we can talk more about that at that point. So that's kind of what we're, you know, thinking about watching over the next, I'd say, 30 days or so in the market. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, Ray, good, I'll be glad to. HIMX. HIMX. Okay. Frank is asking, what's a histogram bar? It is a bar that we use with the owl to measure momentum. So it gives us a really quick visual. It's a very visual bar. You can see it here. Okay, so this is the zero line. And when a histogram bar is above the zero line in the owl, that means the momentum is bullish. So it's a great way to support long trades. So if it's red, like it was over here, then it's negative and you don't want to take a long trade until that turns bullish. And this actually, HIMX is a great example in the histogram because here it turned bullish, and look, we got a pyramid right here. So this would have been a great place for an entry. See the bearish one here, then the momentum changed and we got a bullish one. So that's great. Now notice here, all right, wow, this is such a beautiful example here. Notice here, on this chart here, we had a situation where we had a 3, we had a 4 in the target zone here, and boom, now we're popping off that. All right, green PTF, we're going higher here. This is the Elliott wave target zone starting at $19.38 going up to $25.59. So this would have been your jump on this new move up here on the daily chart at about 12 bucks. Okay, so not too shabby, all right? So you would have gotten in time to enjoy this move up, and you certainly could see this as well on the 60. So this is bullish. You want to stay bullish if you're bullish. All right, you can put your stop right here under this pyramid here. Don't move it. You got this going in your favor, 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 and this one. So there's no reason to even scale out at this point. So be careful and not move your stop too close. That way you can get it as high as you can before you start moving your stop. So really good one. Very, very cool one. All right, let's see what we got here. All right. Yep, the owl is a histogram bar. That is correct. Okay, histogram is just the what they call, charting platforms call bars that are basically bars above a zero line and below a zero line. So that's kind of a generic term. All right, let's see what else we got cooking. All right, I think that's it. All right, so great session today. All right, I think there's a couple, maybe WDC, it might be a good one. Just be a little careful on that. You might want to use an option, I think, on that one. But other than that, hopefully this helped everybody here. I just want to, again, wish everybody a very, very happy New Year. Be safe, okay, in all your travels. We'll be back here next week, and thanks for tuning in, and have a great day.
Reversal bar entry now.